Hello everybody, welcome to more Inconsistent Bookworm, and yes, we want to be the very best, like no one ever was, because catch 'em all is real quest. Train 'em is our cause. Sorry. I think I fucked up the last line there, but I don't care. Yeah, we are here, of course, to talk about Pokemon Adventures, Volume 3, of course. Now, the reason why I was a little hesitant with this one to finally get into it, those of y'all who remembered my second volume review, was that it was all over the place. And on top of that, it never touched on the fact that some of the trainers it was mentioning, such as Sabrina, Koga, Lieutenant Surge, and others were actually trainers. Or not trainers, they were gym leaders actually in the Johto universe and all that, and also in Pokemon. And it seemed like the original creation of the manga predated the actual, game coming out, or those who actually made the manga. It came out at the same time. Pardon me. And they just decided, we're just going to take all the names they gave us and we're just going to give them their own little thing. And I was torn because it just seemed to jump around randomly with everything. Like, there wasn't actually a good, connection point between all the different chapters within the volume itself. With Volume 3, they fixed that 100%. First off, this is all very succinct. It's very straightforward to a point. Now, mind you, it doesn't mean it's so straightforward that you can understand exactly, you can see what's going to happen from a mile away. No, it actually is very forward. Each chapter actually flows into each other. There's not this weird juxtaposition between each other. They tend to actually be fairly well connected to each other, even the one that technically mentions Mewtwo. Yes, Mewtwo does get brought up in this. And of course, there is a lot of Team Rocket, because this entire volume is actually about the downfall of Team Rocket, brought together thanks to the ending of what happened in the second volume, where Blue and Red pretty much team up and go and storm their headquarters and start fighting against them. And they actually deal with the fact that, hey, these gym leaders, it kind of explains hey, here's that they were gym leaders and they were lured away by Team Rocket. And it actually kind of gives a decent reasoning for some of them. And also, it explains the Pokemon badges, how they actually have an effect, how they're able to actually make a Pokemon be under more control, and they kind of give that an actual reasoning. And kudos, y'all fixed one of the big issues I think I've always had with the badges altogether, and actually it's kind of interesting. And only that, but damn, there's some actually really good fights here. There's some interesting uses of Pokemon powers. That is always the thing that this manga series has done so much better than the games ever have. No offense. It's just that they use the Pokemon powers as they would environmentally. Oh, you're in water? Well, fine. I'll just electrocute the fuck out of the water. Or, oh, I'm going to shoot up, some water and hit it with fire, so that way it's going to make steam and smoke, and I'm going to use that as a mask for my next attack. That kind of thinking is really brilliant. That's actually something that the games never looked into. That is something I think the games actually could do very easily if they would get beyond this same system that they have been stuck in for over 20 years at this point. I'm not saying you have to have a super duper different change at all thing, but adding some more variety, adding the ability to do more team attacks and all that, having multiple Pokemon be able to be played out, and that actually is something they kind of touch upon. And not only that, but it's also refreshing to see a trainer who uses their brain a lot. If that's an issue that always was with the actual Pokemon series, the anime of course, is that Ash is stupid. He's so dumb. There's nothing redeemable about him. He, in fact, gets really, really aggravating a lot of times. Here, you never really get that with Red. Red is actually a unique character. He is a little headstrong. Don't get me wrong there. but he actually thinks ways to outsmart his opponent if he can't outfight them. And many times he's not able to quite outfight them. There is still some of that kind of cheesy, I'm friends with my Pokemon, but there's a lot more to it than simply just he is friends with them. He also understands their weaknesses and their strengths, not just in terms of type. That's really cool. That is an interesting idea that a manga is able to approach that the games unfortunately never really have. I don't know why they can't approach it or deal with it, but they can't. So yeah, I was actually really kind of digging this. And sure, it still suffers from some of the issues in the fact that the characters are supposed to be obviously that from the original game, and sometimes they kind of clash and they look a little silly against other things. But I think that they managed to change in a good way some of the issue or some of the things from the original game, and also go back and fix some of the holes that they created with their original first few volumes. Sure, the first few volumes had their problems. The first one I thought was actually a pretty decent little setup and had some pretty good, humor points. The second one was a mess. But this one really decided saying, you know what, let's cut the crap over. We're just going to get this a little bit more streamlined. Now, sure, this does seem like this was supposed to be the end. And of course, we learned that Pokemon kept going and going and going and going and going. But I do like that we get not only do we get to see interesting fights, but we also get to see an evolution constantly with Red and Blue. That, of course, pretty much being the Ash and Gary. And yes, I fully agree, the names are stupid. The names are the dumbest thing ever. Why are they named after colors? Seriously. I'm going to name my kid Gray. And it's not going to be his last name, it's going to be his first name. But I might decide to suddenly call him Christian. Oh, sorry. Dumb joke. But here, I don't know. It's like because we actually get to see them grow up and actually fight alongside each other, and then eventually, I will give away a bit of the end, they fight together, fight against each other in the Pokemon League. It's actually really refreshing to see them try different tactics and constantly do different things. Like you get to see Red more willing to use more than just Poliwrath, and also he uses even eventually a bit of Gyarados at times. He also incorporates a bit more of his original starter Venusaur and actually tries to fight Blue's Charizard with Venusaur, which, let's admit it, that's all what we ended up having to do in the original games, because by the time we got through the Elite Four and we used up all of our potions, everything we had just a few Pokemon left, and it came down to starter versus starter, and you hope to God that yours gotten some good licks. I should fully admit that is always how that last first game ended. Unless you were a complete or more and you decided to get Charmander. I'm sorry, why? You really made your job a lot harder than it needed to be. Oh, you had to get Charmander so strong before you could even touch Geodude and Onix and Brock's gym. But yeah, I dug the hell out of this one. I think there is still a bit of the not as well bridged together chapters as they should be, at least in the later part of this volume. Like the switching over from Red finally beating Giovanni and actually claiming his place as, the, winner of all 8 badges and able to go to the Indigo Plateau. Yeah, sure. Between that and actually going to the Indigo Plateau, there's not a great, story or adventure, and there's nothing really there. Just like, boom, they're there and they're fighting, and then you also get to see what happens with the trainer. Her name is Green, who we learn she's the lady who kept appearing throughout the rest of the story with the Jigglypuff, who we learned she actually was the one who had the Squirtle. It's like, okay, that's actually neat to kind of throw that all together. Really should have been expanded upon a little bit more. Probably in some of this volume 2 would have been really nice. But I don't know. I actually kind of dug this a lot more. I think this actually did a lot more in terms of progressing things than the other volume did at all. this is actually pretty damn good. If you're a Pokemon fan, this is actually really fun to read. And if you are a original, like 100, original 150, you love all the Pokemon. I think it's actually Kanto, and I'm saying Johto. I'm stupid. Whichever one it is, wherever region. Let's just say Pokemon Red and Blue. If that's what you grew up on, or even Yellow. This is really, really fun. There is a lot of good parts here. There's a lot of actual heart. Not only that, but there's also a lot of actual character here. I'm surprised that Red is still growing as a character in good ways. Sure, he's headstrong, but he's nowhere near as just like, I'm going to make the dumbest mistake I can because of my headstrongness. And he actually, he'll put his life on line for his Pokemon. And sure, we hear about that, but we don't see it as much as we really think we should. It says, like, here I will throw as many Pokemon as possible so I can save my life. Thanks, dude. Yeah, this is damn good. This is a lot better than it has any rights to be. Is Volume 4 going to be worth a damn now that it's going to have to pick up after pretty much the end of the game? I don't know, especially since there wasn't gold and silver at the time for that to, give an actual story. But I'll see. I will at least check out Volume 4, see what's going on, see if it actually is able to carry on the goodwill that 3 brought back. Because, dear God, 1 began pretty good, 2 decided to squander all that, and then 3 actually decided to say, hey, fuck you, this is actually going to be a good damn series. But hey, that's my opinions on Pokemon Adventure. And, just real quick side note. I have actually read the Electric Tail Pikachu way back when I was a young kid. I read the first volume. I actually really enjoyed the Electric Tail Pikachu. But I can't find any more copies of it, or else I'd go back and kind of reread it. And I lost my original one. I think it just got, it got mixed up with something and just got thrown away, probably, or got donated, who knows. Yeah, if anybody ever finds one, let me know, and I'll try and hunt it down and reread it and see if it's as good as, Pokemon Adventures. So, yeah, that's Pokemon Adventures Volume 3. Pretty damn good. If you're a Pokemon fan, pick it up. If you're not a Pokemon fan, I think this will keep you entranced, even though I think Pokemon Volume 2 really is a bit of a down note on the entire series so far. But I think 3 and 1 balance it out enough to where you're able to get over the hump that is the badness of 2. At least in my opinion. And hey, maybe this gets you into Pokemon. It certainly should. I mean, it actually, sure, the games are nowhere near as creative as these mangas could actually be, but when are they ever? Especially when they're made by Nintendo. But hey, that's my opinions. If you want to give your own opinion, let me know down below. But until then, I will see you all later. So, bye-bye, everybody.